What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the Super Smash Brothers and Platform Fighter tutorial series, we are going to be going over improved character and stage select screens. We have quite a bit going on in both the character select and the stage select, but now what I want to do is add the name of the character when we select them. So for example, if I am to select this character, the name will go to Mannequin, as you see here. And of course it will change to Mannequin 2 and random and whatever my other characters are. Now if I reset this and go here, you can see it says Mannequin 2, and I can do it again and pick random. Now I don't have it set up for the other characters yet. We are going to do it live in the video. It's very simple logic, but I just want to show you how I'm setting it up, and I think it's easier to show some of this live because the logic can be quite complex inside of those widgets, but you can see it working for the first character. And then if we go to the stage select, it is the same deal. So if I pick my first map, it says default map. If I pick my second, it says training room. If you're interested in getting caught up in the entire Super Smash Brothers and Platform Fighter tutorial series before checking this out, then feel free to click this link in the top right corner right here, which is the entire playlist for the Super Smash Brothers series. You can see how we've done things from hitboxes to jumping and crouching attacks and game modes. Alternatively, if you don't care about that and you just care about the improvements to the character select and stage select screens, I recommend you watch this episode right here, which is the first episode on character select, because we are going to be building off of all that behavior today to make an improved version of that screen. With all that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We're going to be doing almost everything in the blueprints today. So for now, let's just stick to our blueprints. So we're going to go to blueprints, widgets, menus, and go to our character select screen and our stage select screen. In the character select screen, I've now added a text box to each one of these player cards here. So where we see our character with the associated text box to name this character, to give the player their name, I've added text here. So to do this, I added a text widget right here, common text, to each of my sections where my player 1 character image and character button are. So you can see here, player 1 character text. Now I don't have this organized in any sort of canvas panel or a separate widget, which would make things a little bit cleaner. That's something we very likely will do in the future as we continue to improve this, but for now I've just put all these three things next to each other. So we have our button, our image, and our text. Starting off, I called it player 1 character text, and it has the top left anchor with a position of 32 and 980. To get your positions right for these, you can simply do some math. So we can look at where the button and the image are. They should both be on the same spot, and they are. They're both 32 on the x-axis. I want to center my text within this image and button, so I am also giving it value of 32. And position 980 is just what I determined to be a good value. Of course, you can pick whatever place you want. How I determine this value is by looking at where my image or my button's at. They're at position 640 on the Y. They also have a size of 400. So the bottom of this image is going to be at 1040 units. So I know somewhere around the 1040 unit mark is where I want to put my text. However, I want it to appear inside of the image instead of below it. So in this case, I don't want to put it at 1040. I want to put it at a value above that. In my specific case, where I wanted to put it is pretty much right along the bottom. So you can see that the pixels are just about perfect. That's because I made the size Y 60 units. If we take 1040 and subtract 60, we get 980. So I moved my position Y of my text to 980, and I get this position right here. Then for the size X, I made it the same as the image, which is 300, and that's how I get this design that we have right here. Then for the Z order, I put it to 2 because all of my images were placed above the buttons, so they had a Z order of 10. I've changed all of their Z orders to 1. So sometimes I like to place a Z order really high because I know I want to display it in the front. But I did that a little too early with the images. I don't want to display it in the front. I want to display it in front of the button that we're pressing that's technically behind here. But those Z orders are at 0. The background is at -100. Really, even this can be changed to just -1. So background image is now -1. All my buttons are still 0, as you can see here. And all my images are now 1, as you can see here. So all my texts are going to be z index or z order of 2. That will put them in front of the image. From here, it's pretty simple. We want to put our default text, which I put as character. You could also put none if you want it to be invisible, or you could actually set the visibility to an empty value if you'd prefer. So I'll go ahead and leave it blank and see what that looks like. Color and opacity, of course you can pick those. Pick your font size, your outline size. For justification, I centered it. That way the text appears in the center of this box. If we don't take up all the space in the box, it will appear in the center, right? If I am to change the justification, it can appear on the left or the right. I wanted it to be in the center, so that's what I did with it. Everything else is normal. Make sure you make it a variable because we are going to need it in the graph. Now these other ones are going to go super quick. So player 2 character text, we do the exact same math that we did for the first one. The only difference with this is the X position is going to be different for these images. So the position X is 344. That means I want to set my player 2 character text to have an X position of 344 as well. Otherwise it's going to be the same, but I'll scroll through it quickly for you. Make sure you make this a variable as well. Player 3 character text, same deal. We only care about the X position being different. Everything else is going to be the same. So my player 3 character image is at 656 on the X. So my text is also going to be at 656. Then also make sure you make this a variable. Simply empty out the text. And player 4 character text. Same thing, we want to take our X position for our image, which is 968, and apply that to the text here. And everything else is the same. Make it a variable and take out the text or hide it if you want. Now just to show you what that looks like, with it hidden, you come in here, there's no text here. When you pick your character, the text appears. When you take it away, it will go back away, and then you can pick something else and it will show up again. It's up to you if you want that or if you want the text to be there the whole time, but that is how it works right now. So either have no text in here or have some default text in here. It really is up to you. We can go into the graph at this point, so let's go graph. And we want to go to where our coin logic is. We have this event grab coin, which is when we're picking out the coin. It also works for when we're releasing the coin, so it's called both times. So if we're releasing a coin, we were doing the logic to put it in the proper spot and select the coin placement. Essentially, if we place the coin on a character, we want to notify the player that they've selected that character. That's how we know we're on the mannequin, we're on random, so on and so forth. Now this is just for our keyboard mode hack, so that we can control all the characters on one keyboard or one input device. That way we can actually select all of our characters on the menu without having multiple controllers plugged in. Most of this logic is exactly the same, with just a few things replaced on each of them. I just haven't refactored it into a function or anything like that. It's just spaced out a bunch. Assuming we stick with this method, then we want to go to where determine coin placement is. The coin placement that gets returned from this function is an eCharacter class. Essentially, it's our mannequin and our other characters. It's an enum value that represents the class that they are. We use this to actually set the class of the character that we're going to spawn in the game when we load into the level. However, there's another use for this. We can use the character class to actually set the text in our new text box that we just created for the player 1 character text, player 2, player 3, player 4, so on and so forth. And there's a very simple way to do this. So if we take our result from our enum, see this is coin placement, and we drag off of it to string. And we have this enum to string node right here. Returns user-friendly name of the enumerator. So this is converting the value of the enum to a text or a string value. And then the text widgets that we created, we're going to set the text on them to this value that we get from the enum. So I drag off of this and type toText string. And this converts the string to a text value. And the text value can then be used to set the player 1 character text. So we scroll down to our variables. Here we have player 1 character text. I want to get it. I want to call set text. In parentheses, it's going to say text. Then you want to pass in the return value from our toText node right here. And that will set the string text of our text widget to the enum name. We want to do this regardless of what character it is. So see, we do a little branch here to determine what brush we should set for the image. Basically, this makes sure that we display the right character to the user when they select them. But regardless of what value we choose, we want to pass the return value into that. So after this logic groups up and combines again is when I'm calling set text. There is one other instance though, and that is random. So earlier, if we go back to our determine coin placement function, it also returns is random. Is random is a boolean that determines if the selection that the player made with the coin is the random selection. If it is, we were skipping this logic and instead we're setting our own brush for the little question mark image. However, if it is random, we still want to display the name as random, or at least I did. You may not want to, but I thought it was a nice touch. So if it is random, I still want to call set text on player 1 character text, but this time I'm going to manually type in some text and it's going to be random. After that, I'm going to group up with the original logic that it was hooked up to. Now, if we want to make this work for all of our characters in keyboard mode, we just have to do the same logic for all 4 of these cases here. So if we decide to do this, it's pretty simple. This time we want to use player 2 character text. Get it and call set text on it. Now we don't want to forget random in this case, so we want to grab these 2 nodes and paste them up above. However, instead of connecting if it's random, we're going to connect at the branch afterward. And write in random. And there you go. Now it will work for player 2. So if we come in here, you see it's working as intended. Now we have to do it for player 3 and player 4 as well. Player 3 character text for this one. Call set text. And don't forget random. And now the last one is player 4. We want to use player 4 character text. And don't forget random. And now this should work for all 4 of our characters. And we can clean this up further instead of writing it out 4 times, which is a very nice improvement. But let's make sure we see it working, and we do. So everything's working as expected at this point. Anyway guys, that's all I got for you today, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing to the channel and supporting me further using Patreon, YouTube membership, or Discord subscriptions. All of those things benefit me greatly, and they can get you rewards along the way as well. So feel free to check them out if you're interested in what this channel has to offer. If you ran into any issues while following this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There's a link in the description, and I would be happy to help you out with any problems you ran into along the way. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.